Hi everyone, I wanted to do a demo video on how to install FreeDOS 1.2. My normal system is Linux, and so I prefer to run FreeDOS under a PC emulator called QEMU. So we'll be using that today. Here you can see I'm starting with the FreeDOS 1.2 install CD. And the first thing you need to do is create an empty drive, a virtual drive that QEMU can use. I'm just going to use the QEMU image command to create a 200 meg virtual drive. And after that, I need to now start QEMU. I'm just going to go ahead and start it with 32 megs of memory because DOS doesn't take a lot of memory. We're going to go ahead and define that C drive that we just created. And I'm going to go ahead and add the CD-ROM drive, the install CD-ROM drive. I'm going to say boot order equals D, which says start from the CD-ROM drive. You can see the QEMU starts up with the CD-ROM menu. We'll go ahead and say install the hard disk. You can watch FreeDOS boot up. And the first thing you're going to get is the install program is going to ask for your preferred language. The neat thing about the 1.2 install program is that if you sort of go through the menus here of the different languages, you can actually watch the install program switch to that different language. But here I'm just going to use English for my demo. So go ahead and select that, and then we get the welcome screen. Also a little bit of a warning here in that FreeDOS is a complete operating system, and we do recommend that you run it or install it on a virtual machine or a PC emulator of some kind. Just a heads up, if you install this on an actual machine that already has an operating system on it, just be careful not to accidentally overwrite your other operating system. In this case, we're going to go ahead and continue with the installation. The installer has recognized that my C drive is not actually partitioned, so we'll go ahead and say, yeah, go ahead and partition my drive. To do that, it's going to bring up the FDisk program. So here we're going to go ahead and do the FDisk program. We're going to say create a new DOS partition, which is option number 1. And when we're in there, we need to create a new primary DOS partition, which is also item 1. We say go ahead and install or use the full space on that drive, so yes, and you can see that it's now created a partition that is already marked active because it's the only one, and it's taking up the full drive, 200 megs. So now that we've done that, we need to escape out of the FDisk program, and when we do that, you can see that FDisk says you're going to need to reboot your system for those changes to take effect. DOS just needs to do that. Whenever you make partition changes, you need to reboot so that it can see it. So here we'll escape out of it, and back at the install program, it's going to warn us as well we need to reboot our computer. So let's go ahead and say yes. Reboot my computer, and you can see that it reboots the computer for you. We're back on the CD-ROM menu. We'll say yep, go ahead and install the hard disk, and now things pick up a little bit like they were before. So we're going to get the language menu. We'll say go ahead and use English, and yeah, go ahead and continue with the install. So we'll select that. We've partitioned the C drive, but we haven't actually formatting it. We need to create a MS-DOS compatible file system. So we'll say yes, go ahead and erase and format drive C. And that doesn't take very long. You can see right there it's created a new C drive, 200 megs has been formatted. We just press any key to get out of that. It's going to it's going to gather some information, and then it's going to give us an option to pick our keyboard layout. We do this in case your keyboard is different than your spoken language, which is the case for some folks. But in this case, I have an English keyboard, so I'll just pick that, US English. The next step is the installer is going to ask us what do we want to install. And the neat thing about the 1.2 install, you can select to install just base or full. And base is everything that really replaces the original DOS behavior. Full includes a whole bunch of other stuff. And because FreeDOS is open source software, we give you the option to install source code as well. In this case, just for a demo, we're going to go ahead and install base packages only. And we're going to say, yep, go ahead and install FreeDOS. And that was it. There's not much to install FreeDOS. You can see here that we're just responding to a couple of menu choices, and the installer takes care of the rest. You can see here it's going to continue installing the rest of FreeDOS. So while it does that, let me just say a couple of quick things here. FreeDOS 1.2 wouldn't happen without a lot of people working on it, and I just want to thank everybody on FreeDOS for all the work that they've done. There's too many of you to recognize individually, but everybody has helped out a ton. DOS is one of the oldest PC operating systems, and FreeDOS has, I think, an equally long history. We started the FreeDOS project in 1994 to create a free and open source software version of DOS. We made our first alpha in 1994. We had 5 alphas. We had a number of betas. We had multiple releases per year for a while there, working our way up to the 1.0 release in 2006. After that, we kind of hit sort of a steady state. We didn't release as often, and that was intentional because we didn't need to. And so it was another 6 years after 1.0 that we released our 1.1 release in 2012, and now 4 years later we released 1.2. I think the new FreeDOS 1.2 is actually mostly incremental change over 1.1, although you're going to find a couple of nice surprises in here. 1.2 makes it really easy to connect to a network. I'm not going to do that in this demo here. Other folks have done that, but we include a revamped network setup and a bunch of useful applications that can help you get online, like the Dillo web browser. It's a graphical web browser. If you just want updated functionality, there's a bunch of tools under utilities section that lets you manipulate images, or you can have Unix-like utilities. And a lot of people, of course, use FreeDOS to play games. And with 1.2, we finally added several open source games for you to try. There's Free Doom and Boom, right? Those are open source versions of the classic Doom game, reworked a little bit. There's an arcade style game called Wing, which is sort of a top-down shooter. Kilo Blaster, which is another fast-paced arcade shooter. If you like our classic games, you're going to like NetHack or Invaders, Sudoku, Tetris. And of course, if you want to play your own DOS games, you can certainly do that as well. You might also find that some of your really old games might play too fast on a modern computer. And so for that, you're going to want to try a program that we include called Slowdown, which does exactly what the name implies. It slows down your computer so you can play it. So here you can see that we've installed FreeDOS 1.2. And it's doing a bit of setup after the installation, and once that's done, it's going to give us the option to restart FreeDOS 1.2, and that's it. Here we've got the screen that says we're now complete. You want to go ahead and reboot? In this case, yeah, go ahead and reboot. System's going to reboot. You're going to go back up to that CD-ROM menu. And just because I'm doing a demo, I'm going to go ahead and say boot from system hard disk. Normally you'd just say boot from the C drive, but here it's just, I'm going to stay inside the demo. Boot from system hard disk, and you can see the default menu pops up, letting you pick from different menu options in terms of how the memory is configured. We're going to use the JEMM memory. And there you go. This is FreeDOS 1.2. I hope you give it a try, and I hope you enjoy it. And I'll see if I can do some more videos later. All right, thanks.